Hey, everybody. I am Julie Ann Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. Thank you for joining us today. I have a very, very special guest, one of my favorite people on the planet. I consider her my soul sister. And as I said before, she is sunshine in a body, so much fun. And she's got such a wealth of knowledge to share with us today. Without further ado, I'm going to do the sizzle reel. And then guess who's coming on? My favorite girl, Christy Jones. Hang tight. Well, if that didn't get me pumped up, I don't know what will. I don't know. There's something about that starting music that I'm just like, Christy will tell you, I'm in the background in the green room just dancing away, loving life. Anyway, I'm going to bring her on so we can have our favorite conversation. Hang tight. There she is, Christy Jones.
I loved your intro, and that was so exciting. And it was just so funny because on there it said, there's more to life than broccoli and burpees.
Yep. Right? It's so true. And I know you know this because you and I, we're very, very much the same in the way we view things, similar perceptions. And, you could eat, I don't know, as much spinach as possible and run a marathon and technically be healthy. But if you're not even breathing right, if you are in an unhealthy relationship, if you hate your job, you're not healthy. There's way more. Yeah, exactly. I love it. So, Christy, you know what? I would just love for you to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the things that I do in life is I'm a holistic health and mindfulness coach and educator. And so, how I got there is I'm going to tell you, even as a kid, I was overweight and everybody in my family was overweight. And I really didn't understand that I was overweight until I think I was about 11. And my aunt told me, Christy, you're fat. And I cried and I was like, I'm fat? And I was like, oh my gosh. Right. Okay. So what do I do? And I put myself on a diet and by myself at 11 years old. And so then I became really obsessed with weight. And so I was thin, but I was always obsessed with weight and being thin and like, oh gosh, what if I gain weight again? Mm-hmm. And so I realized as a young adult that that's not healthy.
It isn't. You're not. You're mentally obsessing over something like that.
Right? Yeah. It took me a while, even, and so, as a young adult, I was like, I want to help young girls have a healthy body image. I still didn't know at that point in time how to have that healthy image myself. But I just remember thinking how important that is. And so, just fast forward, how I got here is my middle daughter had a lot of digestive issues when she was young. And it was really that discovery of understanding every time her stomach hurt, her head hurt, every time her head hurt, her stomach hurt, there was this brain gut connection. And I've really spent the last 12 years of understanding how important our digestive system is in our health and how much we are affected by our emotions and stress and everything that's happening around us. And so it's just been such a fun journey, but I always take it back to like being this younger person going, gosh, I'd really love to be able to empower young women to love themselves and love their bodies, even though I was on my own journey in that myself.
I think that you bring up a really good point too about that is, most of us coaches, we tend to want to coach about things that we're going through ourselves, or we just like a few steps ahead. And it makes it a lot easier for you to have empathy and compassion for who you're helping as well, because you've been there. And so you're not some skinny Marie that's never had a weight problem in her entire life, or you're not, you're not a young lady who's, always thought of herself highly and never like obsessed about weight. So you can really, get into like the meat.
Thoughts that want to control our life. And so, in that process of, then once again, even being able to help my daughter and realize if this is going on for her at a young age with these digestive issues, what's going on with other kids. And that's really where I turned my attention to what are children experiencing. And so a lot of my work as a health coach is doing work in schools with students, with teachers, and with parents as well. So really being able to bring in a healthy mindset, bringing in a lot of mindfulness tools that we can understand and learn how to be in this present moment, understand the thoughts in our head, and how to turn those around so we feel good.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And, people don't even understand that a lot of our brain is in our gut, Shell. I mean, I know I'm talking to some people who might not actually understand what I'm saying.
What?
And that's why we have you here, Christy, so you can explain to people a lot more eloquently than I can about what I'm talking about.
Right. And I just think it's so interesting. It was such a eye opener to me to realize that our intestines are so important for our health. Like, who would have thought? That our intestines hold 75 to 80% of our immune system, 90% of our serotonin, our feel-good chemical, and 50% of our dopamine is in our intestines. And it's just like, we thought it was here. And then, it affects our immune system so greatly. And having that understanding that we hold, our gut being our second brain, and it's impacted, we're sensing the world from our gut. And so when we're experiencing things that are stressful, we're holding that tension in our gut, and it's affecting our digestive system. It's affecting those healthy bacteria in our gut that are really helping us to build our immune system. And so being aware that we do have this brain in our gut is number one important. Right? And then we're going to take care of it.
Exactly. And, there's definitely more than just, like you said, there's more to it than maybe probiotics and prebiotics and things like that. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit more. I mean, obviously we're going to get more into like the mindfulness, but is there certain foods that you would recommend for somebody, or I know that's kind of like you're not a doctor, so I have to preface that, and you can't diagnose somebody. But there are certain things that, as a general rule, tend to work well for most people. And I'm just curious if you've discovered certain things that help. Like for me, losing weight is drinking lots of water. People don't think about that. Or sleeping more is a good way to lose weight as well. So, I mean, what are some things that you can think of, or that you know about, I should say?
Right. When we're talking around food.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and it's food's such an interesting topic because everybody's body's so different. And, what's good for one person may not be good for another person, even when it comes to vegetables. Some people have a really hard time with vegetables. But generally, what I would say is that we need high fiber. So where do we get our fiber? We get that from our fruits and our vegetables. So those healthy bacteria, they love fiber. That's food for them. And so more of a plant-based, I'm a fan of, not that it has to be completely plant-based, but making sure we have lots of plants in there, especially our vegetables, is key, as long as somebody's body can digest them. Now, it's going to depend on their digestive system. Sometimes that's not the right fit for somebody depending on where they're at. And so I'd say fresh, organic, even though organic's not necessarily, we still need more regenerative. We need to be taking care of our land, so our food is more nutrient dense than even what organic is. But the more we're putting fresh foods in our body that are not processed is super important. And I would say chewing our food is another really good thing.
Somebody described it to me as your stomach being basically like gums, and without the teeth, obviously, just the gums. Right. And it's like, you're expecting your stomach.
Baby. And you're like, here, eat this.
Yeah. Let's gum down this steak, Yeah. Yes.
And so, I mean, that, the more we can eat anti-inflammatory is generally the rule of thumb. So things that are inflammatory are going to be hard on your digestive system. So the things like wheat and dairy and sugar and processed foods, we know are going to cause inflammation. And so then really as fresh, as nutrient dense as we can. I love broccoli sprouts, cilantro sprouts, sprouted vegetables are more nutrient dense. So anything we can do to raise the nutrition, so we're feeding our, those bacteria in our gut, because it's the bacteria in our gut that are breaking down our food, that are feeding our cells. So we're eating for the bacteria.
That sounds so funny. We want bacteria.
Right? And so, yeah,
I mean, it's true, but a lot of people don't understand that, the good, the bad, all of that fun stuff. And then the other thing too with that is, because you were mentioning with the vegetables that it might be difficult for some people to digest certain vegetables. So I know what I would say, and I'd love for you to elaborate on it, is don't give up. Try a different vegetable. There's not just one kind,
Yeah. Well, a lot of times if because I work with a lot of people that are dealing with a compromised digestive system. And so especially raw vegetables can be really hard for people depending on the condition of their gut. And once again, I'm not a doctor. I just put tools in place and I say, let's play, let's try some things and see what works for you. Your body's your best guide. Right. I can give some guidance, but then you get to decide what's right for you. And so homemade soups with vegetables that are, easy to digest. Our gut needs to be warm. So things that are warm, I'm a big advocate of boiled lemon water first thing in the morning, either with or without a little organic honey, depending if somebody likes honey or doesn't like honey. But to warm our abdomen is really important. So soups are very healing. They're very easy to digest. And so anything we can do at the beginning that somebody, if they're dealing with a digestive issue, to make that digestive process easier is going to be helpful.
I love that. That is just, that's the thing too is, and I'd love for you to touch on this. I'm sorry. I'm kind of I'm so excited about this topic. So I kind of, my head jumps ahead.
I understand this.
I mean, I'm probably one of the few people that was in nutrition school and went to the library to check out other books on nutrition just for fun. Right. I love food. I really do. Something though that people tend to get caught in these ideas of whatever's in the media. And this is a popular diet right now. For example, keto. I don't know if that's even popular anymore, but for quite a while it was. And for me, I could never eat that way. My body would just reject that. I mean, my mood, you name it. I call it too, for me, I get protein angry. If I eat too much protein, I get angry. I literally get angry. And some people, so can you talk about possible things for people to look for when they're trying out different foods? Because, it took me a long time to realize it was the protein in my diet that was doing that. So maybe if you have some signals that people could pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it's bringing an awareness to how do you feel after you eat? Yeah. Right. Even just that simple awareness of, okay, I just ate an hour ago and all of a sudden I feel anxious or I feel bloated. Right. Start paying attention to that. Something that gets missed is actually the hormones that are in food.
I know.
And so, that has a huge effect on our body and it's actually causing a lot of anxiety. So somebody might have a kale chicken salad, but where was that chicken from?
Exactly.
Right? And so if that chicken, has been raised in a stressed environment in a cage with its beak cut off, right, and slaughtered, that energy is in that chicken. And that's one of the things that I've learned. That's really from Dr. Zach Bush, who's just somebody that I have such a huge amount of respect for and learned that from. He talked about, he stopped asking people what's going on. He started asking, what did you eat an hour ago? Right?
I love that. Yeah. And something else, that you touched on, but I want to reiterate is you are what you eat, but you're also what you eat eats. So if you're choosing to eat an animal, whatever they're eating, you're eating too. So
right. And so once again, I'm not. I know there's a lot of push to be vegan, and that fits for a lot of people. It doesn't fit for everybody, and even for myself, I do better with some animal protein here and there, not a lot, but I work on making sure it's a sustainable, as friendly of an environment as it can be. And so you're exactly right. I mean, Yeah. I mean, we've got to be aware. And what we're actually seeing is a lot of anxiety is actually caused by, how animals have been raised and then people ingesting that.
Yeah. And that's not a new idea. I mean, that's been around for quite a while, and it's just starting to become more known, which is, part of that has to do with the advertising and everything that's around. I mean, it's not good for the dairy industry. It's not good for the meat industry. This kind of stuff to get out.
Right. Right. And then there's things like, what I should have out here. I don't have it with me right here, but I do have a 6-year-old Happy Meal.
Oh, that's right.
Right. You really got to think, right? Like there's no mold on it.
That is disturbing.
What is that?
And
we want to eat food.
Exactly. That's not food. That's a food-like substance, as I like to call it. Mm-hmm. And chicken nuggets, they don't come out looking like chickens, and they don't come out looking like little boots or whatever they are these days.
But I think it's really important to have a healthy mindset with food, to use food as a tool to really nourish our body, that we want to, see it as a way that we really nourish. I mean, we need that nourishment. That kindness toward our body is key. Too often, I would say there's an unhealthy conversation with our body and a lack of love for our body. But our body is here helping us. I always talk about, we're a body and a soul together. We need our body to help our soul in this life journey. We're a team. And so we want to support and nourish our body so we can be on this planet really fulfilling our purpose in life in a healthy, fun, loving way.
No, it's true too. I mean, people, as far as we know, this is not up for debate, but we don't get more than one body in a lifetime.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway. Maybe they'll grow another one out of somebody's shoulder sometime. But, but as far as we know, you might as well take care of it. And Warren Buffett, I love him. Actually got a chance to meet him, which was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know that's really random. But anyway, he has this, he's talking about in some of his videos and things and talks, he talks about, you having one car, and he's like, trying to describe to students about wellness and saying how, I'll give you a car, the car of your dreams, whatever you want, it'll be on your doorstep tomorrow with the bow wrapped around it. And then he, that's what he's like, okay, so what's the catch? The catch is you have to drive it for the rest of your life. And he goes, you got to think of your body like that car. You only get the one. You're hopefully be using it for quite a long time. So you want to, get the oil change, all that. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, how you treat it's really important. And I think what's overlooked a lot is how we talk to ourselves.
Oh, amen. I love talking about this. So I would love for you to go into some details about what you're speaking of right now.
Yeah. And, being a health coach, I think in any profession, we learn as we go. Mm-hmm. And we might start with an idea of, things are going to be this way. And I'm going to, help people with learning how to eat healthy and things like that. And really, it's turned into much more of a spiritual journey than I ever imagined. and not, that wasn't what I knew was going to happen. It's just where things, have opened up to. And so one of my biggest understandings in these last couple of years, really from a mutual mentor that we both know, right? Yes. Is, we have our physical body, but we also have this energy body around us, right? Some people call it their aura. Some people call it their biofield or their energy field. Some people call it their mind, right? But we're surrounded by this energy field or this energy body around us. And that energy body is our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, our emotions, our feelings, our habits, and our imagination. And so whatever is going on as our emotional body is affecting our physical body. And so if we're dealing with some type of a digestive issue or a health issue, as much as people might come to me with a physical situation, I need to find out what's actually going on or in and around them, what's going on in their emotions, what's going on in their programming in their subconscious mind to actually support them physically.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I think that's a super important point to bring up because, what you're doing, there's ways to get rid of the symptoms, but if you want to address the problem, the problem is big. Yeah. You might be healthy until the next time, but there's that other saying too, we keep our issues in our tissues, which I love because, and then like, how many times have you been like, oh, I'm sick to my stomach. That makes me sick to my stomach. We literally have sayings that are promoting exactly what you're talking about.
Right. I mean, you can experience something. Maybe you hear some news that isn't good and you literally feel it in your gut.
Yes.
And you get a stomach ache. How many kids, when they have its test day, right, they're sick, their stomach hurts.
Right? Or you get that sinking feeling, things like that, it's so true. And people, there's so much more to it. And hence the reason there's more to wellness than broccoli and burpees.
Right, yes. And I just have to say something. One of my good friends, Joe Ingram, who we have on Facebook, this broccoli bacon war. Right, and he does not like broccoli, and he loves bacon, right? And so when I had posted this show, he says, I know you're going to be talking about how good bacon is for you, right? So when I saw your sign that he would agree with you, that helped me much more than about broccoli because he doesn't eat broccoli. So there you go, Joe. I mentioned your bacon, right? I'm not recommending it, but
definitely not. Yeah, no, that's so funny though. There's just so much more to wellness in general and gut health and mindfulness. We're about to go to commercial break, so I really want to make sure that we get the second half more about mindfulness and the connection. But okay. I'm kind of curious because I know something that you do with your kids, your students, I should say, and something that I think is actually really important for wellness as well. And something that you did recently were the rocks. So I would love for you to share about the art project and how creativity can also help with your wellness.
Okay. And you want me to do that before or after your break?
Let's just do that one little segment before, and then we'll come back.
And we'll get to that break. Yeah. And so, so let's go. Really what we were doing with this project is it's Kindness and Compassion Week. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so the project was, how do I really focus on kindness and compassion with kids and teach them about that? Mm-hmm. And realizing that so often we're teaching kids to do something kind for someone, but what's really important is the feeling behind it, right? Mm-hmm. And so what are they feeling, right? And I'm going to say in general, our health goes back to our feeling. Whatever we're feeling is creating our reality and creating our health. And so there were two parts of it. I'm only going to share one part before the commercial. Maybe I'll share the other part. But being very intentional is when they were painting these rocks of who do they want to give it to? Uh-huh. Put that picture of that person in your head, right? And let's breathe, take some breaths, bring our attention to seeing that person in front of us breathing, seeing that person happy, right? And then what do you want that person to feel? So they're starting to realize, I want this person to feel loved. I want this person to feel valuable. I want this person to feel important, right? And so they're bringing that feeling into their body, learning, some of them are only 4, but we're still putting this concept out for them to start, I'm still introducing them to this concept to feel that feeling in their body. So as they're painting, that feeling is flowing into that rock. But that feeling, we're energy beings. Our thoughts towards others flow to them. So realizing that they're not only giving a physical gift of something they made, they're feeling that they have to that person. They're also giving them a feeling. And I think that's so important for kids to start understanding this concept of energy as well, too.
You know what's interesting that you mentioned that? Because when I was little, my mom, she had cancer for most of my life. And when I was growing up. And so we had these little hope rocks. We did hope rocks for little hearts on them. And so I gave mine to her. So whenever she went to chemo and radiation, she had her hope rock and she held on to that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I still have it actually after she passed You know, I mean, it was just, but it made such a difference. People don't realize it's just even that act of kindness. I didn't get it. Like I just was trying to do something nice for my mom.
Literally, you were putting your energy right into that, and she could feel that.
Exactly.
I mean, how powerful is that? I mean, that like, I don't know, that makes me so happy that you guys had that. Right.
I know. Yeah. I was.
And it as at a deeper level. And that the thing is, we don't necessarily understand these things. And the more we can bring awareness that we are giving people gifts of our energy.
Yes, we are. Right?
And people are giving us gifts of their energy, and we want to receive it. We want to honor those gifts that we give each other of our energy, and that energy is healing. That's creating a stronger life force in our own body when, you know, us getting to hang out together, right? I just received that energy from you, and that joy I have being with you brings that increases my own life force.
Right? Exactly. Yes. No, that's such a wonderful point too. Before we go to breaks, I do want to just acknowledge the people who are watching. Hold on a second. Let me put this up. Helene is here today. She's one of my Facebook buddies, and she's actually a very special friend. And she says hello to the both of us, and she loves what you have to say. So I wanted to hello. She is a fabulous lady, and she's working with her health and wellness right now, as a matter of fact. So I'm so glad she's here today. Yeah. Awesome. Yes, but we will be right back. I'm just going to run some commercials, and we'll be back in just a moment. All righty? Hang tight. Awesome. We're back again, nice and quick, some fun little commercials. I want to bring out Christy Jones again because, as you know, I love this woman. And we're about to go into the meat, my favorite conversation with her. Hang tight. There we go. Yay! We're back. Yay! So I know that you have some tips and some tricks. And I hate to use the word tricks because that implies something somewhat negative.
Let's say tools.
Tools. I like tools.
Right?
I like
tools in our toolbox. I always say we have a toolbox, right?
Me too. I love that. So I'm going to let you sort of take the lead with this. I would love for you to talk a little bit more about mindfulness and breathing. And I know last time we had a conversation about the fist.
The handy brain.
Yeah, sorry. The brain. The fist. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, where to start on this?
I know there's so many choices.
And I always go back to, I always say we've got to understand one is that we are energy beings, that our thoughts are energy, our feelings are energy, and that's really creating our reality. So if we realize that we're there's part of us that's not physical, that's non-physical, which we call our soul. And then we've got our physical body. We've got both. And so part of what we've got to realize in life is that nothing's been created physically unless it was imagined before that, right? So
exactly.
Disneyland or Harry Potter books or whatever it is, iPhones, it had to be imagined. So we just need to realize when we're looking at health, when we're looking at our life, that anything that's shown up physically somewhere was imagined, right? And so I just like putting that out there, that we need to realize that when we want to create the health that we want to create things in our life, we've got to tap into our imagination. We want to consciously create what's showing up in our life. So being aware that so often in life, we're unconsciously miscreating a lot of the things that show up. And so anytime, if we've ever had that experience that, we're cut off in traffic and we get upset, right? Or somebody says something and we get irritated and we talk about it, and we're using, we're talking about it, we're feeling it in our body, we're using our 5 senses, right? To feel that experience. We're energy beings, right? And so when we feel that in our body, we are sending out a vibration. And the universe is going, okay, we live in a universe with universal laws, which is key to understand. And that might be new to some people, right? But we live with these laws that whatever energy you put out is going to come back. So we want to start becoming aware, if we're holding anger in our body, we're holding resentment or frustration, that we're going to continue to find more situations in our life that show up in that vibration. So we want to start going, okay, what do I want? And we want to start realizing that we live in a vibrational universe, right? That affects our health with these laws. And so we want to start consciously choosing, how do I want to nourish and take care of my body? What are the thoughts I want to start thinking, right? And it's a journey, right? It's a fun adventure. And to find like-minded people to be on that adventure with is really, I would say, something I really encourage people to find, people that are also looking to be in a mindset of, I can do it, or we can create the life that we want, is really important. And so I just want to kind of throw out there that we've got to realize that we're energetic beings, that we are creating our reality. Right? Anything you want to share around that as we're just laying that as a foundation?
A lot of people I know for a long time, I'm a little bit further along in my journey these days, but I know it took me a while to fully understand and accept responsibility that everything that happens, I'm responsible for my reaction, action. You can't control other people, and you can't necessarily control outside situations. However, what you focus on does expand. And so I love to give this example, and because people don't necessarily believe that. So I lived in Italy, and I was doing this art class, and it was landscape. And so every single week we would go to the exact same spot and paint the exact same spot for 2 hours. It was just, for probably 2 months. And, the same spot, it took me probably 4 weeks, I think it was. All of a sudden, I've been staring at the same space for hours and weeks. And I saw a building that I'd never seen before. And the building had always been there. But I didn't see it. And I was purposely looking, and I still didn't see it. So I think it's really important to realize that, there's things that we just don't see. That doesn't mean it's not there. So we can, because that building didn't just suddenly pop up and be hundreds of years old. It was there the entire time. I just didn't see it. So it's the same sort of concept with, our thoughts and our feelings. It takes a little while to get used to looking at them and being like, well, does that serve me? Does that even serve me? That's something that, do you want to be upset?
And so when we start putting this concept of mindfulness in, is where we can start observing our thoughts, right? Becoming aware of, what have I been telling myself? Right? What are these thoughts that have been going through my head that I haven't really been aware of? So, when we talk about mindfulness, there's many layers to mindfulness. The definition of mindfulness I usually use is being in the present moment without judgment, replacing judgment with curiosity. and getting curious of going, isn't that interesting? I'm feeling that right now. Huh, where did that feeling come from? Right? Yeah. And that step of even just becoming aware that we have these unconscious thoughts that pop into our head, or sometimes we're like, why do I even feel this way? The more we can just step back and become an observer in our own life, that's starting that process of being mindful, of being present. So mindfulness is being in the present moment, right? So then the question, because I like to, so it's like, okay, well, what's the present moment, right? And exactly. I work with kids a lot, and I work with third graders teaching them mindfulness. And I'm like, so, have you heard this word before? And they're like, some of them have heard the word. I'm like, okay, so it means being in the present moment. So what's the present moment? They're like, I think it's now. I'm like, yes, it's now. But if we start looking at, okay, the present moment is now. So how do we know we're in the present moment? And so often our body is in location, but where's our mind, right? Our mind loves to travel. It can go to the past and it can go to the future. So when we're in the present moment, it means our mind and our body are in the same location, right? That's really the present moment. And so then, to take it even a little bit deeper is realizing that we will use the word mind and brain interchangeably.
Yes.
And so our brain is a physical structure. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays here. But our mind can travel. So it must mean that our mind and our brain are different. Right? And so this comes from the work of Dr. Daniel Siegel, which I had to get an answer that I could explain in schools, right? Like it's got to be scientifically proven, right? And what he discovered, he brought together 60 different modalities in the sciences, and there was not an agreed definition of mind. Wow. We used to be told that mind was the activity of the brain, which made people feel separate. It led to a lot of depression and things like that. But what they've discovered is the mind is energy and information flow, as well as this feeling of being alive in our consciousness, so that our mind literally flows. It's part of that energy body. It's flowing around us and between us. And so our mind is really about connection to ourselves and connection to others. And when we're practicing mindfulness, we're learning how to focus this energy into the present moment.
I don't think people even really understand. We're constantly talking about how was your day even, you're talking about something that already happened. I mean, you might be present, but you're thinking about something that already happened. That's not the same. I mean, I'm not putting that down or anything like that.
It's an awareness.
Yes, it's an awareness.
I would say any of the conversation we're having is only coming from a place of mindfulness, of awareness, right? That when we're looking at things, looking at our own past behaviors and things like that, we're like, oh yeah, this is what was there. Wasn't that interesting? It's not coming from a judgment. And I think to be able to be in a place of mindfulness, to be present and curious, it's really important to let go of judgment. Judgment to ourselves, judgment to others. There's no place for judgment. It's never going to be our friend.
Well, the other thing too is, perfect example, judgment. How many times, and I'll just use me as an example, I might be in that car and I might be mad at that person that's in front of me that just cut me off or something along those lines. And I somehow get up next to him and I glance over, I'm like all mad, I'm like, and then I realize that the person in there is like, maybe I'm exaggerating, having a baby, like trying to get to the hospital, right? And here I am. And I'm like, oh, oops. And, nothing changed except my perception. It just is. And I love that because we do get to choose. So that judgment, we judge all the time as humans. And it's just something that's kind of, once you become more aware of it, it's like, oh my gosh, we did it again.
And to have fun with it, right?
Exactly.
To be so hard on ourselves is really important, to be like, oh yeah, there I go again. I just got, I just flipped my lid about that, right? Like, isn't that interesting?
It makes it fun too, because personal growth and like being healthy and well doesn't have to be a drag. You don't have to eat Brussels sprouts if you hate them, Right,
absolutely. You want to bring the fun and the play, because remember, we are energy beings. That feeling that we have in our heart, right, literally flows through our body and it goes around us into our energy body. We want to feel good. Our ultimate goal is to feel good and to have fun, right? And so it's just key that we're being aware of what are we feeling, what are we telling ourselves in every aspect of our lives. We want to bring fun and play and joy. And so that's why I bring up this mindfulness, is that we need to be aware of this connection of our mind and our brain, and that they're different. And how to bring our attention into the present moment. And so a lot of what I teach are fun exercises and movements that help increase the energy and the vitality in our body, that are helping to build a healthy digestive system, but they're training ourselves to be in this moment and to let go of tightness and tension in our body. We are not meant to hold this tension and tightness in our body.
No, we're not.
Let it go, right? And so in that, we're going to feel good. So our health is really about our feelings, right? What we want to do is to feel good. So yeah, did I answer your question? I'm taking the long route around mindfulness, not the one I usually go, but that's.
No, I love it. I can sit here. I'm like, where's my popcorn?
And so being aware that we've got this natural energy flow in our body is really important, to be aware of it. So our natural energy flow in our body is meant to be a cool head. Here, I'll use my we're meant to have a cool head and a warm abdomen. So we're supposed to have this. I'll stand up for you. We're supposed to have a cool head and a warm abdomen. Those are my little fun play things. That is our natural energy balance. So when we're in this natural energy balance of flow in our body, when you've got a cool head and a warm abdomen, you digest your food properly. Your circulation is good. You go to the bathroom properly, which is a really important thing that most people don't talk about. And you feel balanced and grounded on your feet. That signals our kidneys to release water, goes up to our head, and it cools our head. So we have a natural energy flow in our body that we want to become mindful of too. So we can use mindfulness in being in the present moment. We can do mindfulness of understanding we have this natural energy flow. Now, when our energy reverses and we get a hot head, right, we may experience a brain fog, anxiety, depression, overwhelm, and our gut, as we were talking about, is our second brain. We hold that tension in our gut, and we can deal with digestive issues, stomach aches, skin issues. Really, what science is saying is so much of our health issues go back to our gut. And so when we practice simple mindfulness movements, we can create this natural energy flow in our body. So when you start feeling good in your body, right, it changes your emotional state. And so that's what I love is, putting simple tools in place, mindfulness tools that create this cool head, warm abdomen, create this natural state of balance, but all of a sudden you feel relaxed and change your emotional state, and you feel more empowered in life doing some of these simple, I call them brain breaks throughout the day to create this natural energy flow.
I love that. One of my favorite new things, I had to turn it off for a little bit because it kept on, I have joy alarms. Okay. I put them in my phone. And unfortunately, I was doing too many interviews and they'd start going off and I'm like, oh, oops.
Just have a break in your interview.
Exactly.
I like that. I think that's a great idea.
Yes. And I wish,
right? And then, I don't know, they got to do something that's joyful.
I wish that, I want to give credit. I got it from Preston Smiles. And he's a coach as well. But he, what he'll do is, and I love this and I do it too. Like I said, the joy alarm. So when the alarm goes off, you get up and have a mini dance party and you just like loosen up and, and
right.
I can't even tell you, especially when I was doing my summit. I was under so much pressure and it was so new and I didn't know what I was doing. So of course, a lot of that was like up here doing those joy alarms.
And you did a fabulous job.
Thank you. But it really helped me. And then all of a sudden, all the answers I needed came. Everything came. And it was like, oh, all I had to do was relax, breathe again. So, all these are important points that I love that you're bringing up because people don't understand the importance of mindfulness and that it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to, like you said, it's noticing, it's not judging.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's mindful awareness, and we can put it into any aspect of our life and just be an observer in our life, stepping back, observing, right. And having fun with it, and even just, I mean, I think that's just and I hope this is just a big takeaway. Have fun, bring laughter. Even if, like, I don't know, the other day I was taking my drink outside and I dropped it and broke it. And I was just like, okay, right? Oops, right? Have fun with it. I have to clean it up either way.
Exactly.
So I can be grumpy and clean it up, or I can have fun and clean it up, right? But here's the thing. We can train our brain in how we respond to things. And not just react, but that's going to take practice and mindfulness in creating a toolbox, that really helps us create, so that we learn to pause. I focus a lot on breathing and putting one hand on your heart, one hand on your abdomen. When we do that, we have three brains. We have the brain in our head. We have a heart brain because we have neurons around our heart, and we have our gut brain that we were talking about. So when you put your hand on your heart, hand on your abdomen, and you breathe when you're in a relaxed state, you are connecting your three brains together. And once again, this comes from Dr. Daniel Siegel, who's just a fabulous therapist that's done so much work around mindfulness and mindset. And so when you can do this in a relaxed state, when you get into a stress state, you just put your hands here and breathe. And instead of reacting, you pause. So that your brain and your head can slow down. You can keep your blood flow to your front part of your brain, your decision-making part of your brain, and choose to respond like, isn't that interesting? I just broke my glass. Okay. How do I want to feel about that right now? I think I'm just going to laugh. Right? Like, you can actually choose, right? Versus just responding. But it's a process of training your brain to respond versus react.
Yes, I'm a huge proponent of that. You don't have to it takes a minute. And, I love the example that I love to use. So if you've been watching me for any length of time, bear with me. You're about to hear it again. It's like a car going 60 miles down the road, and you just realize you need to go back the other way. You still have to stop and pop it in reverse. You don't have to it takes a minute to get there, but you're slowing down to a stop, you're stopping, and you're going backwards. And you might accidentally go forward a little bit again, but that's okay. That's when you look at that and you laugh and you go, oh, there I go again.
And I think the more we can become aware of our brain and the things that we react to is so important. And that's why last time, do you want me to quickly do the handy brain again?
I do. I love it.
I love the handy brain. And once again, this is Dr. Daniel Siegel. I mean, I just love his work. I bring a lot of his work into the trainings I do in schools as well. But if you put your fist up, imagine that this is your brain, right? And then if you open your hand, your wrist right here is your spine connecting to the back of your head. And then your palm right here is going to be our lowest part of our brain, back here, our brainstem. So our brainstem is in charge of all of our automatic functions, our breathing, our heart rate, and also our digestion. And that's why it's so important. When we are under stress, our digestive system is turned off. We've got to turn the digestive system back on before we eat, right? But it's also in charge of the fight, flight, freeze response. So this part of our brain is our oldest part of our brain, and our fight, flight, freeze response, when we're under stress or we're triggered by something, we might go into fight mode, freeze mode, or flee mode. So we can go into any of them, but you might have a primary one. So being aware of what mode do I go into? Do I go into all of them depending on what the situation is? Starting to become aware of your own behavior. When we can start understanding and becoming aware of our own behavior and our brain, we can start putting tools in place to be empowered in life instead of reactive in life, right? Now, thumb in the middle right here, this is our limbic system. This is our midbrain right here. This is our emotions and our memories. Sometimes somebody will feel an emotion, it will trigger a memory, and it will trigger the fight, flight, freeze response. These two parts of the brain love having parties together, right? And so we want to be aware of that, right? Have you ever thought of a feeling and it triggered an emotion and then you got mad? And then if you pull your hand over, top part of your hand is the top part of your head, or the top part of your brain is your cortex. Your front two fingernails are your prefrontal cortex. That's our rational brain, our decision-making brain. when we are practicing mindfulness exercises, when we're practicing meditation, breathing practices, right? We are integrating all three layers of the brain, and we're getting proper blood flow to our prefrontal cortex, to our rational brain, okay? When we are triggered by something, we will flip our lid. When we flip our lid, we have lost blood flow to our prefrontal cortex. Rational brain is turned off, gone. Right? This is something important to know. It is not a place to try and have a conversation with somebody or yourself, right? It goes back, the blood flow goes back to our brainstem, to our fight, flight, freeze response. So what we want to know for ourselves is what makes us flip our lid.
Mm-hmm.
Becoming aware, do some journaling and go, what makes me flip my lid? I had to realize what makes me flip my lid is always when I'm out in public and I think something isn't fair. They're the silliest things. Like, I'll give you a story. I was at Whole Foods and they said, we need your Amazon account so you get the discount, right? I gave them my email or whatever. And they said, oh, it didn't work. So I said, I still get the discount, right? And they said, no, you don't. I was like, I think you need to tell your manager that this isn't a good system. And then I walked in and I'm like, wow, I teach mindfulness. So I had to really look, because it was always really like insignificant situations like that. But in my mind, I did what was right. I did everything I was supposed to do. Your system's broken, so it is your fault. And so when I go into stores, I breathe, because I know that I have a tendency to flip my lid when I think something isn't fair.
Yes.
So I've done a lot of work around that. So it rarely happens anymore that would be a trigger for me. But I realized that was a pattern for me. So then I can put things in place so that I don't do that. So it's just something we can become aware of. So then you can put things in place, whatever it is, listening to music, meditation, being aware of your behavior. If you're starting to feel tense or stressed, what can you do to bring your brain back together?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when somebody around us has flipped their lid, remember, their rational brain is gone.
Officially.
Gone. So the best thing you can do is breathe and keep yourself in a place of your brain integrated, using the three layers of your brain together. Because when someone flips their lid, it triggers a part in our brain to flip our lid too. If you ever notice, someone can walk in a room angry and all of a sudden you feel pissed off.
Yep.
Because there's a part in our brain that will, it's called mirror neurons. If I was eating a banana in front of you, it would trigger a part of my brain, but it would trigger your brain too. So if I walk in the room and I'm angry, it's not only going to trigger my brain, but it's going to trigger your brain and anybody else's brain in the room. So being aware of that, we don't have to be triggered, right? But put things in place, breathe, keep yourself in the present moment so that you're not triggered by someone else's behavior, and give them time to cool down.
I love that. And sometimes it's really simple to help them too. One of my favorite examples, I was at a Starbucks in Washington State with my cousin Darcy, and the lady, I just wanted a coffee, and she was so upset, the lady behind the counter, and she was saying how they didn't have coffee, and she was really upset. Mm-hmm. And my instant thought was, oh, no, you didn't.
What do you mean?
I'm the customer here. Why are you mad? But instead of responding that way or reacting that way, I took a deep breath, and then I said something to her, and I said, and I made a joke out of it. And I said, that must be really hard for you to deal with today. And she instantly changed. And then I gave her a compliment, and she she had such a better day after that.
Right.
It was because I didn't match her.
Right. Yeah. You literally used your tools that to pause, and you turned it around, and you helped her shift her energy. And that's the power we have, right? That kindness and love are always, right? You never know what somebody's experiencing.
No, and you don't.
We can just, really hear them. She felt heard. You acknowledge her. Mm-hmm. And I just love that, I was posting today that we just need to, one of my friends was talking about, let's just be Care Bears, right? Let's just go around and shine.
I love that.
And so no matter what's going on, let's spread that love. Let's spread that joy, because we are in an energetic world that whatever energy we put out is going to come back, and it's going to increase.
It is.
So
It is.
let's choose feeling good and love. I don't know. Sounds good to me. But I'm going to tell you, our digestive health will be better because of it.
Exactly. It's like a kiddie pool. You can't throw something in it without expecting it to affect all the water. That's how our body is, you know? Everything's connected. Everything is connected. So it's not like you can just take one little part and that's okay.
Yes.
It's like, you know, I made the cake, but I forgot the sugar. Should taste pretty much the same, right?
It might be healthier.
Yeah. But you have to eat it too. So that could be okay. I've been flashing on the bottom here, and I'm going to put this on again. I'd love for you to talk about this. There's my finger.
Oh, yes. And so once again, if you are interested in more tips, you can visit my website. I keep it really easy at christyjones.com, and to get 6 tips for building a healthy mind and body, because they're a team, right? Our mind and our body are really working together to give us our best life. So check that out. And feel free to message me if you have any questions on that, but have fun with that. There's a lot of good information in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we wrap up?
You know, I would say is be really aware of what you focus on. Yes. Right? What is it that you want, regardless of the things that are going on outside of you? Mm-hmm. What is it that you want? Because whatever we put our focus on is going to increase. So yes. What do you want in your health? What do you want in your relationships? What do you want in your family, in your home? What's there? You know, really becoming aware of what is it that you want and have fun with that, right? Start using your imagination about the things that you want and being aware that we want to get rid of the don't and the no's, because that takes us in the wrong direction. So
exactly.
Yes.
And the body, you can't tell the difference. So it's like, okay, you want that? Sure.
Right.
The don't and no.
The universe doesn't understand don't and no. So literally, I always say, put the train on the track of what you want. Only put one train of what you want, and then go have some fun.
All right. Well, Christy, thank you so much for being here with us today. I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite a while, and I always have a good time whenever we get the chance to chat. So thank you.
Much fun. So thank you for allowing me to come on and just hang out with you and your friends.
Absolutely.
And so much fun. So thank you. And thanks for any of you that are watching. Just appreciate you being here.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Christy. All right. We are at the end of the hour, and I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. And until Monday, when we are live again at 4 o'clock? Yeah, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Hopefully we'll see you then. You can always catch us on Instagram as well, YouTube, all kinds of different, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android TV, you name it. Anyway, until next time.